For the longest time, lens manufacturers were trying to diminish the characteristics of their lenses. Matter of fact, they still are. Their coatings are getting more refined and their optical designs much more sophisticated. You know how I call that? A mistake. Let me show you why. Modern lenses are practical, they're sharp, easy to use, and often great at capturing detail. They're also somewhat boring. This lens is something special. The Super Takumar 28mm f3.5. Hopefully this footage was enough to convince you that sharp, fast lenses aren't everything. I know, low light performance is important. Shallow bokeh makes anything and everything way more interesting, but there are a few aspects that can't be put on a label. Lens character is much more difficult to describe. And that's why I'll just show you and compare it to a modern Tamron 28-75 G2, the most useful lens in my kit. I like that one, but it doesn't exactly scream character. It was created to be relatively clean. Character is a word people use to describe what many vintage lenses offer and many modern lenses lack. And it comes down to a mixture of many things. Sharpness, vignetting, color rendering, type of distortion, flare resistance, and so on. And as you can tell from this simple shot, the differences seem to be fairly minor at first. But looking a little closer, we can make out significant differences in sharpness, especially in the corners where the vintage Takuma is way less detailed. I work as a full-time filmmaker and hardly take photos anymore. To me, sharpness doesn't matter as much as it used to. Some people need it, others simply don't. And it makes sense to think about what you are shooting and who you are shooting it for. I do own sharp glass for jobs that require it, but the Takuma serves a different purpose. You wouldn't want to use this for a glossy high-fashion commercial, but I've been using it successfully to give some music videos a certain look, or to capture my travels. I'm sure the Takuma would seem like a poor choice when pointed at a test chart, but if you intend to shoot real life, I'd suggest testing a lens in real-world situations. When you stop treating lenses as a list of features to be met and use them as a tool constructed for a specific purpose, you can see past their shortcomings and unlock their true potential. And then there are the defining characteristic that drew me in were the incredible flares. I find it baffling that not many people seem to talk about this. It has never been easier to create high-quality videos. I mainly shoot with a Sony FX3, incredible piece of equipment. It has the same sensor as its bigger brother, the FX6, which costs quite a bit more. You wanna know what else has that same sensor? The Sony ZV-E1. Great cameras are cheap nowadays. Everyone can use awesome plugins, editing tools, presets, or LUTs. So how do you make your work stand out? You do your best to make it unique. I've spent a long time looking, and to me, the Super Takumar lenses have the most beautiful flares of any lens out there, period. Point this one at the sun once dawn comes around and you'll capture some of the most unique shots you'll ever make. This is something that can't be replicated in post. It can't be faked. If you intend to dive deeper into this topic, check out the link in the description for a thorough analysis of what makes lenses flare, and tell Simon I said hi. But before you head over to eBay, this is important. There's a plethora of different Takuma lenses that have been produced over the course of several years. Auto Takuma, Super Takuma, Super Multi-Coated Takuma, SMC Takuma. What you really need to know is that they possess different coatings and therefore have varying flaring characteristics. I want this thing to flare, which is why I'd recommend to look out for an Auto Takumar or Super Takumar. If you've seen my review of the legendary Helios 44-2, you know that I own a modded version with some extra bits and pieces to make it more usable and emphasize some of its characteristics. For this one, I simply slap on an adapter and a variable ND filter and I'm ready to go. Didn't really feel like modding was necessary or particularly beneficial for what I'm using it for. So don't feel obligated to put on gear rings or custom lens caps or whatever. It works just fine. If you were to ask me about the most underrated vintage lens out there, this is it. 28mm, f3.5, no interesting focal length, no shallow bokeh, no outstanding low light performance, but man, is this thing beautiful. You won't be using this one for nightlife or portrait shots, but you will be using this if you love to spend time in the outdoors. Use it to capture beautiful vistas, street scenarios, music videos during the early morning or late afternoon, and point it at the sun from time to time.